Hi, we're here today at the Department of Equality and Justice for the launch of the new REACH campaign.
You're all very, very welcome to the launch of the project, which is co-funded by the European Commission under the Progress Action Grants on Violence Against Women.
Well, for our part, this is part of a partnership campaign, of course, with the departments, with the police, with the health services and other NGOs, but Ruhama, first and foremost, is a frontline organisation, and we've worked for 26 years as the exclusive charity working only on the issue of supporting women and girls affected by prostitution, and then in recent years the horror of sex trafficking as well. So for us, supporting the women is critical, assisting them to exit prostitution or recover from trafficking on the one hand is our main focus, but at the same time we know we're only reaching the tip of the iceberg in the hundreds of women we meet, and so we know that we need to change the system as well, and we need social support to stand up, recognise the human rights abuse that is the sex trade, and as this campaign really positively affirms, the fact that it's actually catering only to a very small minority of the male population. So for us it was a no-brainer to get involved in this campaign.
Those who purchase the services of these victims fuel this evil trade, and they too bear responsibility for the lives stolen by trafficking and for the continuation of this crime. And that's really the message we have to get across. The reality of prostitution, the reality of trafficking, and the reality that demand fuels all of this. Therefore, we must reduce the demand. It's an information education issue as well, because I think there's many people in Ireland who actually still find it hard to believe that trafficking happens in Ireland, that there are women involved who've been exploited in this kind of way.
Traffickers ignore borders, indeed exploit borders. It really is fitting that today's response to the REACH project reflects work which is being done in partnership across the two jurisdictions on the island, across our shared border. And because it's not just an issue of jurisdictional borders, we need partnership which is also sectoral, involving government, involving law enforcement agencies, involving civil society, all joining together to seek to stamp out human trafficking through this campaign. That's what the REACH project is all about, and I'm very pleased to be part of it.
And this really is the crux of the message that I'd like to deliver here today. The reality is most men don't buy sex for the same reason hardly any women do. The reason is that having sex with someone who doesn't want to have sex with you is an inherently repulsive act. It involves denying the other person's full and true agency. It involves denying their humanity, and it involves ignoring your own. It is a form of sexual selfishness so deep that it requires the sweeping aside of every consideration that relates to human worth, and most people, women and men, are not prepared to have sex under such circumstances. I would like to thank the men of the Republic and Northern Ireland who have come here to spread this message today.
I think this campaign is also aimed at people who never buy sex and would never buy sex, and I think what this campaign is saying, we need to be vocal about that. Not to be preachy about it or to be judgmental about it, but to be vocal and saying, you know what, it's not okay to purchase sex. And if you're on a stag weekend, to be the one to say, you know what, it's not okay to get involved, and I don't want to.
In relation to those who buy sex, the fact is most won't necessarily know, because the facade is imposed on the women to ensure that he has a good time. In some cases, however, we do know that women have expressed extreme distress. Very regrettably, sometimes the guys have gone ahead anyway, but if somebody does recognise that there is a potential abuse or coercion, firstly, don't go ahead with the transaction, and secondly, Crime Stoppers is an anonymous way to actually report one's concerns, and then at the same time there are other frontline responders who we're working with as part of this campaign who may spot it just in the course of their work in health or social work or others, migrant support services, who may spot that somebody might be in a particularly vulnerable position, and it's about encouraging them also to report.
The only person we know who's making the free choice here is the buyer. We need to end that individual's lie that our free choices exist in a social vacuum free from vagaries of pernicious shadow market practices, or that they have no bearing in existing social norms and structures. The choices we make absolutely matter and impact the wider society, so we need to make the right choice. We need to make the choice not to be on the side of pimps and traffickers, Make the choice not to be on the side of organised crime. Make the choice not to be on the side of inequality, violence and coercion. Make the choice not to be on the side of the silence that allows us to perpetuate the lies we tell ourselves. Be on the side of actual liberation.
Prostitution affects women first and foremost. They're the ones who are the victims of this, they're the ones who are trafficked, who are treated appallingly. But without men, there wouldn't be prostitution. So it is wholly appropriate and desirable and necessary that this campaign is aimed at men.
Too often the focus is on the women and why they got there and how they got there and what's happening to them. But in effect, as Shane has just said, the actual driver of the sex trade is not poor women, vulnerable women. You know, they're the ones who populate the sex trade, but those who drive it are in fact those who are seeking to buy sex. This is one that's funded with the support of the European Commission, and so I think it is one that we would like to see grow legs. We'd like to see it generate into the future. So resources being dependent, it's something I think has the right potential to grow legs and expand. And also I think it's something that we work a lot with international colleagues who work in similar areas in terms of advocating for legislation and support services working with women in prostitution, victims of trafficking. I think this is a message that can actually transfer beyond our own borders, and I hope that perhaps somebody would pick it up and use it elsewhere as well.